Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, wassalatu wassalam ala rasulihil kareem wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Dear brothers and sisters, I hope all of you are doing well. Welcome again to a new episode of Questions from the Quran. This is episode 4 in the series, and just like the previous episodes, I'm going to be asking you questions and I'm going to giving you answers from the previous episode. So without much ado, let us get going to the answers from the previous episode. So, in the previous episode, the first question was, we all know that Prophet Muhammad ﷺ had daughters, and what some of us might not know, that he had sons as well, but they passed away in their infancy, in their childhood, very, very, very early in their life. One such son was Abdullah, who was born after Prophet Muhammad received his first revelation. So he also passed away in his infancy. So already it was a very sad moment for Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, but what made it worse was astaghfirullah, the Quraysh actually made fun and sort of celebrated this moment. They said that, see, Prophet Muhammad, his lineage is not going to move forward because his son passed away, you see. So people were making fun, and Prophet Muhammad was going through such pain, and definitely for a father, his son passing away. And then Allah revealed Al-Kawthar, the chapter of Al-Kawthar, in which Allah said, Inna ataynaka al-Kawthar, fasalli li rabbika wanhar, inna shaniyaka huwa al-abtar. Allah basically gave Prophet Muhammad the strength through these verses. Allah says that we have given you Al-Kawthar. Now there are many interpretations of Al-Kawthar. It could be the well of Al-Kawthar in Jannah. It could be Al-Kawthar means in abundance. We have given you things in abundance. So there could be many interpretations. And then Allah says, فَصَلِّ لِرَبِّكَ وَانْحَرْ. And continue praying to Allah. Continue your sacrifices. إِنَّ شَانِيَكَ هُوَ الْأَبْتَرُ. It is those people whose lineage will be stopped, not yours. So these three verses, the shortest chapter in the Quran, which most of us actually recite in our prayers, just to shorten them. So finish them fast. So this is the answer. Al-Kawthar, that's the answer to the first question, where it is linked to the death of Prophet Muhammad's son in early childhood. Okay, so the second question is, we all know that we have good deeds and bad deeds. I'm sure we all know as well that these deeds will be weighed in a scale. Very difficult or impossible for us to comprehend that deeds are not something tangible. Okay, I can take some apples and I can weigh them on a scale. I can take some bananas, I can take whatever, but if it's not tangible, how do I weigh it? So nothing is impossible for Allah. We believe that we have our angels on our shoulders writing all our good and bad deeds. So these deeds will be converted into something which can be weighed. So this is actually mentioned in the chapter of Al-Qari'ah, where Allah says, فَأَمَّا مَنْ ثَقُلَتْ مَوَازِينُهُ فَهُوَ فِي عِيشَةٍ رَاضِيَةٍ وَأَمَّا مَنْ خَفَّتْ مَوَازِينُهُ فَأُمُّهُ هَاوِيَةٌ. So there are two types of people. One whose good deeds outweigh the bad deeds. So whose scale of good deeds is really heavy, they will be in the best of their lives. You know, they will be satisfied with, in fact, more than satisfied with what they get, okay, as a reward. But those whose scales are light, Allah explains that basically be thrown into hellfire. So here it's very clearly written that the deeds will be weighed in a scale. So that means that deeds actually have a weight, and Allah, nothing is impossible for Allah. So our deeds will be converted into something which can be weighed. Okay, so this is the answer to question number 2. Question number 3. We spoke about Prophet Saleh, and he was sent to the nation of Thamud. Thamud at that time was very, you can say, modern and very forward thinking, and they actually carved palaces inside mountains. Not just caves, palaces inside mountains. So when Prophet Saleh alayhi salam went to them, they said that, oh, see, God is so gracious with us. God is so merciful to us. He's given us all these. He's so happy with us. He's so satisfied with us. What is this message you're bringing to us? And just to tease him. And then, of course, like most nations, They also demanded that, you see, Prophet Saleh, all your previous messengers also, they brought miracles. We want to see a miracle as well. This used to be a very common demand from the nations, because they used to say that, okay, if you are God sent, then show us a miracle, something which is, extraordinary. So they said, we want to see a she-camel coming out from this mountain. So Prophet Saleh prayed to Allah, and with the help of Allah, this miracle was shown to them, and a camel actually came out of the mountain. Now, Prophet Saleh told them that because this is a miracle camel from Allah, make sure that one day, a full day, she drinks from the pond or water, and one day your animals can drink from the water. Don't mix them. So one day she drinks, and then alternate day they drink. This was going on, and ultimately what these people did, they slaughtered the camel. Yeah, they slaughtered the camel. And this brought in the wrath of Allah, because it was a miracle. And once a nation demands a miracle of a prophet, and the prophet shows them with the help of Allah the miracle, and if they still don't believe, that nation is wiped out. So by not showing a miracle to a nation, Allah is giving them a chance. Reconsider. But when all else fails and they say, we need to see a miracle, this is what happens, that they get the miracle, they don't believe, and then Prophet Saleh was told to leave that place, and then that whole nation was destroyed. In fact, that place is still there today as well in Saudi Arabia, called Madain al-Salih. So, we are advised not to go there, actually, because any place where Allah's punishment has been there, better not to go there. So that's in Saudi Arabia, Madain al-Salih. So now that was question number 3, and the answer was, this is mentioned in chapter of Ash-Shams. وَالشَّمْسِ وَضُحَاهَا وَالْقَمَرِ إِذَا طَلَاهَا. So this whole incident is mentioned there. It's mentioned in another place also in the Quran, but here it is mentioned in brief, that they slaughtered the camel of Allah, and even though they were told. So this is what happens when you ask for a miracle. You get the miracle, you don't believe it, destruction all around. Okay, so that was question number 3. Question number 4 is somewhat related to question number 2. In question number 2, we said that our deeds are going to be weighed. They have weight. In question number 4, I said that our deeds will be shown to us. I don't know what kind of supercomputer Allah will have, but He will play the full showreel of our deeds, good and bad, so that we can't deny. Because we can't remember what happened yesterday, so how will you remember what happens on the Day of Judgment? We don't know how much time has elapsed between. So Allah will show us our deeds, and this is mentioned in Surah, the chapter of Zilzal. Al-Zilzal, Allah says, إِذَا زُلْزِلَتِ الْأَرْضُ زِلْزَالَهَا وَأَخْرَجَتِ الْأَرْضُ أَثْقَالَهَا وَقَالَ الْإِنسَانُ مَا لَهَا يَوْمَئِذٍ تُحَدِّثُ أَخْبَارَهَا بِأَنَّ رَبَّكَ أَوْحَى يَوْمَئِذٍ يَصْدُرُ النَّاسُ أَشْتَاتًا لِيُرَوْا أَعْمَالَهُم فَمَن يَعْمَلْ مِثْقَالَ ذَرَّةٍ خَيْرًا يَرَهُ وَمَن يَعْمَلْ مِثْقَالَ ذَرَّةٍ شَرًّا يَرَهُ. Even if you did a minuscule, tiny good deed, we will show it to you. And even if you did a minuscule bad deed, we will show it to you. So in Al-Qari'ah, Allah says your deeds will be weighed, but your deeds will be showed to you as well. So when you see your deeds, there will be no denying it, because it'll be in front of you. So that's mentioned in Surah Al-Chapter of Al-Zilzal. Okay. The last question. This proved to be difficult for people because it was based on an analogy. The analogy was that I mentioned 4 prophets. I mentioned Sayyidina Nuh alayhi salam, Sayyidina Isa alayhi salam, Sayyidina Musa alayhi salam, and Sayyidina Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Now, their names are not mentioned in that surah, but the analogy is in Surah At-Teen, where it says, وَالتِّينِ وَالزَّيْتُونِ وَطُورِ سِينِينَ وَهَذَا الْبَلَدِ الْأَمِينَ. So the thing is that the nation of Nuh alayhi salam is a place where teen, figs, were very famous there. It was a land of figs. So that's why a teen is actually indicating the land of Nuh alayhi salam. Zaytun, olives, that region where Prophet Isa alayhi salam came from, is famous for olives even till now. And Tur, we know who went to the mount of Tur? Prophet Musa alayhi salam. And then Balad al-Amin, who was referred to as Sadiq and Amin. Sadiq and Amin. Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and Balad means the city or the town, which was Mecca. So 4 prophets mentioned through an analogy, but again, it's one interpretation. Some people say no, it's the fruits and the vegetables which is mentioned there, and the mountain. Literally, some say no, it's an analogy. So there are difference of opinions, but a majority all agree with the fact that these are basically an analogy indicating the 4 prophets. In the same chapter, actually, since we're on the topic, same chapter, you know what Allah says? Allah uses the word ahsani taqweem, that Allah made us with the best of the best. Okay, with the best materials, with the best of anything. And then ثُمَّ رَدَدْنَاهُ أَسْفَلَ سَافِلِينَ, and then we fell down from grace to a level which is the lowest of the lows. So Allah says that, and if you read this chapter, it's an eye opener. Allah says that I made you from the best of the best, and then you did not even think for a moment, and you stooped down to the lowest of the lowest. That was not our level. We were not made for that. Allah made it for achieving big goals, but not worldly dreams. But we start chasing our dreams in this world. Inshallah, that's a topic for another day. So those were the 5 questions and the answers to the 5 questions. Let us start with the question for episode 4. The first question: after Prophet Muhammad ﷺ passed away, Sayyidina Umar, along with his companions in the Battle of Badr, most of them, had a gathering, and he used to invite another gentleman, a young gentleman by the name of Abdullah ibn Abbas, radiyallahu anhu. So the senior members of that gathering used to object that this boy is as young as our children, why do you invite him, Umar? Sayyidina Umar said that we all know about his intelligence and wisdom, so that's why I invite him. So then once again there was a gathering, and he invited Abdullah ibn Abbas. In that gathering, Sayyidina Umar asked about a particular chapter, saying that this chapter, what does it mean to you? So all of the people replied. And then he said, yes, what you're saying is correct, but let me ask Abdullah ibn Abbas. And then he asked Abdullah ibn Abbas, what does this particular chapter mean? And he explained to them, this chapter means it's a farewell address of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. It's Allah telling Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, your mission is accomplished. You've done what you had asked for. So, which chapter was he referring to? Okay, which is linked to this event. Okay, so that's question number 1. Question number 2. When Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam was still in Mecca, the Quraysh, they were starting to get a bit edgy, and they were starting to get restless. But they still said that let us convince Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam that maybe he will agree with us what we want. Maybe he will leave this preaching of his religion, this new religion. So they went to him and they said that, listen, we will give you all the money you want. We are all rich. We will give you as much money as you want. And listen, if you want to marry any of our women, we will let you marry whichever woman you select to marry. And listen, we will even follow you. If you want to be our leader, we will follow you. But just do this one thing for us. First of all, what was that one thing which they really demanded? And then the Prophet ﷺ said that, okay, let me come back to you with an answer. Okay, so he already knew the answer. It was not that he was thinking of, or he was indecisive. No, he was 100%. He knew the answer. But he still said, let me see what Allah says in this. How Allah says it. He gives the answer. Then Allah revealed this particular chapter. So which chapter is that, which is linked to this particular incident? Okay, so that's question number 2. Question number 3. In this particular chapter, Allah talks about two kinds of people, the people of heaven and the people of hell. Okay, in the beginning. Then moving forward, Allah talks about two more kinds of people. One kind of people who Allah blesses with wealth, with riches, with anything they can dream of in this world. And the other, just the opposite. Allah tests them with little, with difficult times, with living hand to mouth, with different challenges in life, and then Allah talks about their reaction. Okay, so which chapter is this in which Allah specifically says that we give people and then we take a bit away from certain people? So these are two groups of people and they both react differently. So which chapter is this which Allah says this? Okay, that's 3 questions. 4th question. When you want to talk to someone about something and you want to explain something to someone, you give examples, right? But you give examples about which the other person knows. Otherwise, if he doesn't know about those things, they don't make any sense to him. Similarly, when Allah revealed these verses, He was talking about things, He was giving examples about things which were around these people. So He spoke about the sky, He spoke about the mountain, He spoke about the desert or the ground, how even it is. He spoke about the camel, giving examples of camel. Don't you see these? Don't you see the camel? Don't you see the mountains? Don't you see the sky? Don't you see the ground, which is all level for you? Just to make them understand. Because the Arabs, they were familiar with only mountains and deserts. That was their terrain. Now, if Allah wanted to talk about snowfall, which is it's nothing short of a miracle, snow falling from the sky, but the Arabs, would they have understood? The Quraysh and the people of that time, because they didn't see any snow. So even though it was a very, very big, proof of Allah, but for them it held less relevance because they hadn't seen it. But the proof He mentioned was things which were around them, and these things were mentioned in a particular chapter. Okay, so which chapter is that? Where Allah mentions the sky, Allah mentions the camel, the mountain, the desert, the ground for them. So which chapter is that? All of these questions are from the 30th part of the Quran, by the way. So you don't have to go deep into the Quran, just the 30th part. Okay, the last question. We all know when you read the Ayat al-Kursi, which is the 255th ayah or verse of the chapter of Al-Baqarah, after that, the next verse says, La ikraha fid din, that there is no compulsion in religion. No one can force you, okay? And we should not force religion onto anyone. A similar concept is mentioned in this particular chapter where Allah says to the Prophet that we have sent you as a reminder. All you have to do is keep reminding people about Allah, about the proof of Allah, about the words of Allah. But don't get heartbroken if people don't believe in your message. Don't force yourself. You have not been sent as a sentry or as a police on them. Whether they believe it or not, it's up to them. We just want you to keep reminding them. That's all. So this is very clearly said in a message, in a verse of this particular chapter. And I think that this is also a message for us as well and all our scholars, where sometimes we see people forcing their opinion on someone, especially when it comes to religion and Islam. Allah has clearly said that, please just pass on my message and then leave the rest to me. That's all we want of you. You are just there for giving warning and giving glad tidings to people. But whether they get the guidance or not, that totally depends on Allah. Okay, so this is mentioned in a particular chapter, and these are your 5 questions for today. And very soon, inshallah, I will see you in a new episode. And if you need any help, my email is mentioned in the description below, and you can always ask for help, and you can always send in your answers. I would really like to hear from you and feedback on how we can improve this further. Thank you very much. Barakallahu li wa lakum. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.